Crítica.
Mataji, go ahead and tell.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Well, we kind of run out of time for the kirtan, so we are going to go straight into the class given by Rasikendra Prabhu. And then the class will be from 6 to 6:30. At 7, we are between 7 and 7:30. We are going to have the walkthrough darshan and offering of the petals to the picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And after that, we are going to have prasadam. Prasadam. We are going to have the carry out prasadam. Okay. Thank you so much for being here for this program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anasuya.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Can I start now?
Yes, please. Yes, please, Prabhu.
Hare.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
You got
Yeah,
4
so-
minutes. 4 more
okay.
minutes
You
to start.
you
got
have
4 more minutes to
yeah,
start.
you have about 4 minutes to start, Prabhu.
I
I mean, you can start right now. You can start right now. Just go ahead.
yeah, 4 minutes. What are we going to be doing? Might as well start 30
Exactly.
minutes.
Just a start. Yeah, just a start. Because
Okay,
4 minutes, I
that's
mean,
fine. That's fine. Okay, thank you so much.
thank you, Prabhuji, for giving the class.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So today is the disappearance anniversary. The Tithi, meaning based on the lunar calendar, of the disappearance of Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he disappeared from the mortal vision January 1st, 1937. That makes it 85 years ago. So in 85 years, much has happened. He appeared February 6, 1874. But he disappeared from this world in 1937, January 1st in Kolkata, because he appeared in Jagannath Puri, the most sacred land. And actually, Krishna, it seems, takes his devotees sooner than we typically expect. We can only imagine great devotees, if they had lived longer, what kind of wonderful achievements on top of what they already achieved so wonderfully. So from our perspective, we're so dependent on the mercy of such great devotees. Any time is in an immature time for great devotees to disappear. We have Prabhupada, departing 1977, the age of 82 years old. That was considered, of course, anybody who was a follower of Srila Prabhupada thought that was very inopportune that Prabhupada had to leave so early. Or in regards to, my spiritual master, he left at a very early age. That was very not an opportune moment, because There's so much, he had so much to do for this world. Prabhupada had still so much to do because his work was so powerful and valuable. Even Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, who's said to have lived up to like 144 years old. I mean, this is, will make him probably the oldest person. Still is, he left too early. So, but in Krishna's vision, he had waited long enough for Mahaprabhu's vision. He's waited long enough. Their work has been done in this world. And he wants them back. So ultimately, of course, we can't do much about it. It's Krishna's will. Nobody can rewrite, go back and redefine history. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is a very, very pivotal figure in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, and more so for Iskcon, because if we I'm sure all of you all know, and but how many people are here in the class here? 8 of them. Is this class also is this class also broadcasted in YouTube?
Yes, we're broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook as well.
Can you see how many viewers are there, Aradhita?
Yeah, so right now we have, let me check. We have around 7 viewers, but I just posted the link, so people should be joining.
Okay, 7 in Facebook?
No, altogether, so YouTube and
Okay.
Facebook.
All right. So those of you, probably all of you should know, but we should make it a necessity as in our devotional life to know our Guru Parampara. It's very important to understand our Guru Parampara, how our lineage comes down, who are the personalities who received this message, and what was their important contribution. Like that, we should understand this very much, just like then we can really appreciate the contribution. It's not, oh, Prabhupada Guru Maharaj was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and his Guru Maharaj was Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and his Guru Maharaj, Siksha Guru Maharaj, was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Guru Maharaj was Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, like this. We shouldn't just know the names, we should know what they did for the movement, what extraordinary contributions they made, how they pleased Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by their service, and because of their contributions, what changes happened. These are all very important for us to know. Because when people ask us these things, if we don't have historical context, we won't be very effective conveyors of the message. So any good scholar, any good preacher knows a great degree about the history of Christianity, about the life of Christ. So it is important that we learn. So the most, I could say, the most pivotal thing Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did for Iskcon, even though Iskcon was born much after his departure. 1966, Iskcon was incorporated. So after his departure, so that makes it how many years? So he departed 1937. So 29 years after his departure, Prabhupada incorporated the International Society of Krishna Consciousness in the United States. And but what created Iskcon? Prabhupada, of course. But what are the events which led up to the creation of Iskcon? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave this order to Srila Prabhupada that take this message to the Western world. In fact, the first meeting Srila Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but was a college student, under the insistence of his friend Narendranath Mulik, who Prabhupada gives credit for taking him to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When he met him for the first time, the first thing Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said was, you look like an intelligent boy, you should take this message, you should preach this message to the Western world. I'm paraphrasing it. So that was the first instruction. And Prabhupada had personal association of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur only few times, handful of times, 5, 6 times. And his last meeting, he reiterated, if you get money, print books. And print this message in the English language. So Prabhupada took this to heart. Okay, Prabhupada took this really to heart and made this instruction one with his heart. What does it mean to say you make an instruction or you take something one with your heart? It means that separation, that instruction, that message lives with you. That message constantly propels you. That message constantly inspires you. That message constantly excites you. That message constantly gives you a purpose in your life. Just like your heart is beating every day, this message is also beating together with your heart. So we sing every day in the morning in glorification of the spiritual master, Narottam Das Thakur, Guru Vandana, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Korea Aikya Arna Koriho Mane As. So he says, let me make the words which emanate from the lotus mouth of the spiritual master one with my heart, Chitete. One with my consciousness, one. I should not have any other separate aspirations. So Prabhupada took this message to heart, just like in the message. And with that message and with the blessings of his spiritual master, he came to the West. From a materialistic point of view, from a material point of view, Prabhupada was far from qualified to come to the West. What did Prabhupada have? He had some Bhagavatam sets and like 40 rupees. So everybody was discouraging Srila Prabhupada. Actually, there was one devotee in Vrindavan who was encouraging Prabhupada. Even Sumati Morarji, was discouraging Prabhupada, who gave Prabhupada the pass, the ticket to cross the ocean. She was constantly discouraging, Swamiji, what can you do? You are an old man, you will die, you will not make it. What kind of food is there going to be for you to eat? And the people there will be probably very degraded. How, you know? But Prabhupada, no, even such what call that discouragement didn't prevent Prabhupada, because Prabhupada had already made the instruction of the spiritual master one with his heart. Now, what if you take some instruction, somebody else's instruction to heart, who's not a pure devotee? This question comes. What will I have the same effect? Unlikely you will have the effect, because it is said that with the words of the spiritual master, with the instructions of the spiritual master, comes the power to also fulfill that instruction. So that's a very important point. If you receive an instruction from your spiritual master, it may be a very, very lofty instruction. You say, okay, I want you to make 1,000 disciples in this year, 1,000 devotees in the congregation. They have to start following the 4 regulative principles. If they have to chant Hare Krishna, and they have to. So if your spiritual master gives you this kind of instruction, you may think this is not possible. How is it possible? And then you may say, this is practically impossible. And then you said, you know, since this is not possible, I'm not going to follow this instruction. I mean, how is it even possible? But it is said, an instruction, even though may be seemingly impossible, which comes from the spiritual master, the power to make it possible is also encapsulated in that instruction. What does that mean? That means if you follow that instruction with your heart and soul and effort, body, mind, and words, then you will also get the power to fulfill that instruction. You will get the empowerment. So just like it is said that the most easy task becomes most difficult to perform if you don't have the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the most difficult task becomes very easily performed if you receive the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj says that. So the thing is, Prabhupada knew the secret how to achieve this formidable, almost impossible task to come cross over the ocean at the age of 69, and going through the troubles Prabhupada went through and across the journey, across the ocean, dealing with, you know, practically nothing with him, and not knowing to turn left or to turn right. But because he held the instructions of the spiritual master, not close to his heart, but inside his heart. And he made that the living force. And because of that, or because of the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's instruction, Iskcon, actually, that was the seed. That was the beach for Iskcon. And Prabhupada watered that seed, and that seed sprouted, and Prabhupada very carefully tended this sprouting sapling known as the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. He put a fence around the sapling, pulled out the weeds very, very carefully, and very scrutinizingly differentiating what is that sprouting seed and what is a weed. These are all philosophical things which Prabhupada, philosophical deviations which was arriving in Iskcon as it was growing. Prabhupada had to carefully water the seed. But when you water the seed, sometimes the weeds grow with it. And only an expert gardener can distinguish between what is the actual creeper and which are weeds. Just like when we care for tulsi, in my experience, sometimes some manjaris will fall and this tulsi seeds will start sprouting, and together with it, there'll be almost indistinguishable weeds growing. They will look exactly like. So sometimes I have to wait a little bit to see which is a tulsi sapling and which is not, and pull out. So Prabhupada very carefully tended this. And at the same time, constantly holding this instruction in his heart to fulfill the desire of the spiritual master, to fulfill the desire of the Guru Parampara, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Pritiviti Ache Nagara Digram Sarvatva Prachar Hoibe Moranam. So this is a very important point. So in that way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur is such a pivotal and towering figure in our lives. We should express such great gratitude, very deep gratitude that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, out of his compassion for the living entities, he sent his foremost disciple. At that time, nobody thought, Prabhupada was a householder. People didn't really give much. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur could see that Prabhupada was actually the chosen one, even in the days, because he had sent some of his very, very prominent and very learned disciples to preach in London, but they didn't hardly came back with any success. So during one such gathering, when his disciples was there seated in Pranim, I don't know if he was in Kolkata or where it was. So he was addressing his disciples and he was looking at, then he said, which one of you are going to spread this message, take this message to the West? So he was looking, and then finally his gaze fell on Srila Prabhupada. One of you will take this message. And his gaze actually fell on Srila Prabhupada at that time. And when Srila Prabhupada wrote his beautiful Vyasa Puja offering, the very famous Adore, Adore Ye All, when he wrote this one stanza, he said, Absolute is sentient, you have proved, impersonal calamity thou hast moved. That verse really caught Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's attention, and he told his senior disciples, whatever Abhay Charan writes, publish that. So, and even in his last meeting in Radhakund, when Prabhupada took one of his sons to go and meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in that famous walk around Radhakund, he said, there will be fire in the mud. What does it mean? There'll be fire. When you say there'll be fire in a place, means that the whole thing is going to be destroyed. He said, I should have taken, he said that I'm ready to dismantle the marble in the temple and print books. This big temple, this very majestic temples have simply become a place for people to fight over the property who wants what room, who's going to get which room. So that really saddened him in the last days. And he said that we should, he put so much emphasis in the printing of books. And he said, if you get money, print books. So Prabhupada got these two major instructions. Take this message to the West, and if you get money, print books. Of course, Prabhupada was practically penniless. So he worked, first of all, to get some money and then to print books. So Prabhupada took this message so seriously. And it wasn't, and in his last letter to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur reiterated the same thing. And after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance, Prabhupada was constantly trying to fulfill the instructions. And the Gaudiya Math, the Chaitanya Math, there was so much internal strife, and they were fighting over property. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said that you all should form a commission to govern the society after I leave this world. But shortly, immediately after he departed, there were already people claiming that I'm going to be the next Acharya. And, there were few factions like this. And because they were not cooperating to fulfill the instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the mercy did not come. His mercy did not flow. And slowly it became just a bunch of court battles. The preaching stopped, the distribution of transcendental literature. So they were primarily preoccupied with having court cases and court battles. And so those people who got appointed as Acharya after him, they also fell. So another indication that they actually has displeased Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in that regard. Of course, there were some of them who found that there was no other choice but to carry on whatever instruction they had personally given him. There were few carried on that mission, but as a collectively, they could not cooperate. And Prabhupada tried so hard and reminded his God brothers again and again that this is what Prabhupada addresses his Guru Maharaj Prabhupada. This is what Prabhupada wanted us to do. But then he was not successful in convincing his God brothers that they should cooperate collectively. So Prabhupada then took his instructions from his spirit, from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whatever it is, took it to the West. And from that, Iskcon was born. So we should never underestimate the instructions of the spiritual master. So I want to read the pranam mantras of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We can speak so much about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but I just wanted to emphasize that his instruction was so potent. That means how powerful that personality must be. That his instructions, two instructions, have created Iskcon and have grown to be a worldwide organization with all the challenges stacked up against Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his life, he also had to fight so many challenges to fulfill the instructions of his Guru Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. If you read the life of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you can find out Prabhupada has spoken so much. There's a book called Ray of Vishnu. You all should also, I strongly recommend you all should read Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav. So wonderfully written about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his life, his childhood, up till his departure, his contributions, the unparalleled vigor with which he pushed on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, how he cut down so many upper sampradayas, how he established Vaishnavism as much superior to any kind of caste considerations. So in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's pranams, I want to read. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati iti namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. That's the first mantra. Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayine Prabhave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Varshabhanavi Devi Daita Das. So that was the name given to him by Srila Gorakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is favored by Srimati Radharani and who is an ocean of transcendental mercy and the deliverer of the signs of Krishna's. Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayine Prabhave Namaha. Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye. It's an ocean of mercy. That's his second pranam mantra. His third pranam mantra. Madhurya Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya's mercy, who deliver devotional service which is enriched with conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given so many wonderful instructions, so many quotes, amazing quotes. 30 minutes actually we can't really talk about. We'll try. It says, I offer my respect, this pranam translates to, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya's mercy. So Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti, Lord Chaitanya's Karuna Shakti, that means he's the mercy potency. He is the mercy potency of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Madhurya Ujjvala Premadya, that you giving and Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida. So you given the conjugal love coming in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami to everybody. Bhaktida. So that's a very important contribution. And then the final mantra say, Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvantaharine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Personified teaching means Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye. That means if Lord Chaitanya's teachings has a personification, that is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Dinatarine, who delivers the fallen people. Rupanuga, any Viruddha Apasiddhanta, any kind of teachings which goes against the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, he very, very vigorously cut it down. I offer my respectful obeisance unto you, who are the personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You are the deliverer of the fallen souls. You do not tolerate any statement which is against the teachings of devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. So Prabhupada said he has only claimed 2 credit. He said, by my spiritual master's mercy, this whole movement is gone. My spiritual master sent all of you to help me. So Prabhupada was so humble. He gave all credit to his Guru Maharaj and to also the disciples who helped him. But he said, if there's at all any credit for me, there's two things. One, I never changed what my spiritual master taught me. And then he also said that I was never lazy. So this was Prabhupada's formula. So we should be so careful never to change the teachings we are receiving through parampara. In the name of innovation, we may try something new, but we should be so careful that we don't deviate from the teachings. Iskcon, some personalities have tried and they failed, and as a result, so many problems came into Iskcon. So we have to be very careful. So I'll stop here. My time is up. I wish we could have more time, but we have a very tight ship, even in the Zoom days.
I don't want to be seen.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you, Prabhu, for this beautiful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Now we are going to have Damodar Sharan do Kirtan from 6:30 to 7. At 7, we will have Pushpanjali and offerings. And yeah, and after that, we will have the prasadam distribution. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Looks like somebody is trying to join. Maybe the administrator has to let them in.
Okay.
So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Goswami Maharaj ki. Jayanilo Premadhana Karuna Prachur Jayanilo Premadhana Karuna Prachur Jayanilo
Thank you, Damodar Charan, for that beautiful kirtan. Now we will have offerings. We are going to do the Pushpanjali from 7 to 7:30. After 7:30, Prasada and distribution. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Master Shri Srimad Bhagavad AC Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada Jai Vishnu Paramahansa Bhagavacharya Namaste Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Prabhupada Jai. This is the Bhaktisiddhanta Ki Jai. Namacharyas and Adidas Thakur Ki Jai. Ankaracharya Dispenser Jai. Iskcon Jai. Thanks to the whole Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhagavatina Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vaishnavi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai. Shri Shri Hare Krishna Bhagavata Shri Jai. Jai. Shri Mayapur Nam Jai. Shri Jai. Shri Jai. 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 With Mexico, Shri Jai. Shri Jai. Shri
This concludes our program. now we are going to, well, many people have offered petals already, but those of you that are here can offer petals. Hare Krishna. Yeah. We have petals here that you can offer to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then you can take prasad. Okay? Thank you.